birdie tee time. Give it up for Robert McCall.
Hey everybody, Robert McCall here. This is round 2 at Piney Woods Open. I'll take you through the round a little bit. Hole 1's a pretty big hyzer. I've got a lucid getaway here that I'm just going to hang hopefully straight and just have it finish to the left. Started this one a little wider than I wanted to, and you'll see it cross back into frame right here. That's the miss. You don't really want to hit the tree right in front of the basket. Coming in front of it is fine, but on this backside is a little bit better. So that's put me at 35 feet or so. And I putt with classic Wardens. And that's a great way to start off the round. Confident stroke. Yeah, I'm excited to take birdie right there. Hole 2's got some OB on it, so it's a little bit of a tough shot, and I'm picking a blend Warden here. Something that's just going to stand up a little bit. It certainly stood up. Kicked to the left, and we weren't sure if that was inbounds or not. But it ended up staying safe by this tree, maybe by a disc's width, which was really nice. So that's going to leave me about 25 feet left here. Shots like that, I've learned, you know, when I get lucky, it's a total waste to not at least try to take advantage of it instead of feeling bad about, oh, I got lucky, I don't really deserve this birdie. Sorry, I don't care. I'm in this spot. I'm going to get a birdie if I can. Hole 3 is I think one of the most demanding holes on the course. Straight drive that needs to move a little bit left at the end. Either side of the woods is awful, so I'm playing a special edition Explorer here. A little bit of hyzer just to get it up to flat and then moving left. And as soon as I let this go, I knew I'd hit it exactly how I wanted to. Once you get down there, it's a little bit of a crapshoot where if you're going to have a gap or not. So I'm looking at several different gaps here. You can see the tree directly in front of me is blocking off the easy backhand gap. So I take a look at this patent pending, but I know that's no good. So I'm going to have to take, for me, a secondary shot is a forehand. So I'm throwing this. This is an EMAC Truth. And it's pretty much a spike and hyzer forehand that I'm hoping to pan toward the basket here. And I let that go just about exactly how I wanted to. It hit the tree up by the basket and sat down. That's going to leave me about 45. And they've called this hole a par 5 in the past. I think it's just a hard par 4, but I've certainly never 3'd it. I've got some mud under my feet, but I'm really just thinking I just need to commit on this putt, make sure I give it a chance. And that felt good all the way. That's about as good a start as you can draw up on this course, so I'm feeling really good right now. Discs are coming out clean, and I've got good confidence right now. This is a lucid defender for me on a forehand. I'm just trying to smooth this forehand around the corner, not trying to crush it. Just put it in the fairway, and yeah, it's done exactly what I want it to. It hadn't pushed quite as far forward as I'd like, but I've still got a decent look from there. So one thing that you'll see throughout this round and any time I play, especially in the woods, is this blend Warden is my favorite upshot putter. It's really easy to turn just a little, and it holds lines really well. So I'm just trying to start this pretty much flat and let it turn a bit to the right on its own. I missed that tree, and that means I'm very close to the basket. There you go. There's some excitement. And 4 for 4 is a good start. 5 is a really dangerous hole. This is a turnover shot for me down to the right side, probably around 300 or 310 feet. But either side of the woods is absolute death. So you want to get the initial angle right and just make sure you make this first gap. So this is that same blend Warden that I love for those turnovers or flip up to straight shots. And I threw it exactly how I wanted to. And it's never going to come back left, so.
Down there, it kept flying too. A little tiny kick left.
Yeah, whatever.
Down the friggin'.
It beat the first and second gap, so I'm super happy.
That really describes this hole well. As long as you make the first and then get somewhere around the second gap, you're good. So this has left me 40 or 45 feet. There is a creek bed behind this basket, which kind of gives me a bit of a green light to run this, but the left side of the basket is blocked off for me a little. So I play for the right side of the basket, catch the basket, catch some chains, but if I want to make it, I need to put it a little bit more in the middle. That's fine, though. I say I'm getting out of there. I'm no longer interested in standing by this basket. Hole 6 in the shorts is just, yeah, this nice straight shot, and this, I'm going back to the blend Warden, and yeah, if I can throw a Warden on a shot, I'm throwing it. It's the disc that I feel most confident with in my hand. One of the reasons I love it is as soon as I let that go, I knew that I had hit it right. Just with that little hyzer, it's going to stand up to flat. Extremely consistent for me. So yeah, we're off to basically a dream start at this point. Another reason you may have heard me clapping a little bit when I throw a good tee shot. AJ Risley and I have been talking about this some recently where, all right, I throw a shot, and then if it turns out bad, a lot of times, you know, I'll clap or kind of get upset with myself, and that may be the only time that I show emotion on the course. And if you've ever watched AJ play, you know that he gets stoked when he throws good shots, good putts, things like that, and it helps to reinforce your good shots whenever you get a little excited about what you've done. And so I've been giving myself a little clap or a little fist pump whenever I'm throwing good shots. My drive here on 7 is a little tight, so I'm going to have to throw another spike Anheuser forehand. Felon off the tee, and this is a felon I'm about to throw right now. I've put a good angle on it, but it's just hard to get it all the way over to the left, and so I have made it across the creek, and I'm looking at 35 or so from a birdie 3 here. And super excited to hit the middle of the chains. Not super excited that it came straight back out. So that I'm kind of having a dream round up to that point, and that just broke it up a little bit. I mean, it's still a par, so it's not bad, but that kind of took the wind out of my sails a little, but no problem. Time to recover. Here we are, hole 8. I'm throwing Lucid Getaway. It's pretty stable, just to try and get around the corner and get a big skip toward the basket. The mistake I make here is I looked at the trees on the left right before I threw, so I just thought, hey, I need to be really careful to not throw it into those trees. So pulled it into the tree on the right, and it's kicked me into a really bad spot here. And I've got a couple of options, one of which is just to put down a forehand roller and probably take a 4, or just kind of flick my wrist and try and beat this gap. So I choose the backhand, and I choose to throw it into a tree, so it goes right behind me and to the left, into an even worse spot. So now the only shot is a forehand roller, and basically I'm playing for a 5 at best at this point. There's not really a shot to the basket from here. I'm pretty upset at this point, just with myself. Like, it was a bad decision not to just throw the forehand roller, just to concede a 4, maybe even have a look at a 3. I tried to get a little aggressive for the 3 and just threw a bad shot. So here's a layup that hit a tree I didn't even know existed and rolled back to about 25 feet. Now I'm faced with a little bit of a tester putt for 5. That's not what you want on a par 3, especially after the start that I've had. A little bit of a drop off behind the basket as well. Any miss is going to be 20 or 25 feet putting uphill at the basket. But putting stroke feels good, and I'm really just glad to get off of hole 8. That's the thing about the dogwood courses. Any hole can bite you at any time if you get off the fairway. So that's my first bad hole of the day. That's all right. We'll move on. Hole 9 is pretty close to a must-get birdie for the open field. Mando sign is on the tree you see there on the left side. So just trying to beat that on the right and then skip it up toward the basket. I just threw it really soft. Mentally, I was a bit tentative at that point after taking that 5, and just kind of still letting that spit out from 7 get in my head. Got to get past those sort of things. So here's my putt from a 45 or so, and I gave it the height And I honestly thought that I'd made it when I let it go, but it just held off to the right side. So that's going to be a disappointing par for me. I'm pretty close to the basket there. But nothing I can really do, just drop in for par. Miles Seaborn super parked this hole with his verdict, so.
Something happened to your disc. Where'd it go?
I said he had a lost disc. I covered it up. He talked some trash to me afterwards, so it was suitable on both parties' part. All right, so it's time to regroup here. I'm throwing an EMAC Truth on the right side of the gap, just to fly straight and not move too far left. This is a par 5, and so you're just really trying to set yourself up in the middle here. I've pushed the left side a little bit, but I've still got a decent look. So I'm taking a Goldline Ballista Pro and just trying to throw it hard down the right side, skip up and maybe give myself an outside look at an eagle. I'll let this go just a bit too far wide, but that's a really good tick off the tree. It's left me about 80 feet downhill with a bit of a runaway green, so if I'm going to run this, I need to be cautious of the angle that I throw. So I put my Warden on a little Anheuser out of my hand to let it fly flat. No dice on the make, so I've got this 15-footer left for my birdie 4. And it's important not to take those for granted. Make sure that you follow through on every putt, even if you're disappointed with the score that you're going to get. I'm not disappointed with the 4 there, but thought I had the 3 when I let the putt go. So here's a super straight shot. I'm throwing a Lucid EMAC Truth. This one's really beat up, and so I'll start it on a little high so it'll stand up to flat. Little too much hyzer for me, but that's moved over to the left side and given me a putt. I'm starting to regain my momentum a little bit after the spit and then the 5 and a pretty bad drive on hole 9. These trees on the left are just close enough that they're in my head, but I chose not to straddle out. Just commit to the putt, and yeah, we're back on the birdie train. Hole 12 is, depending on how you call it, either a par 5 or a really hard par 4. My goal, I'm throwing a special edition Explorer here, and it's nice and worked in, so I can start it on hyzer and let it flip up to flat and sometimes even move to the right. I'm just trying to find the middle of the fairway, or even the right side is good, but anything in the fairway is acceptable. And I start it on the left side, move it to the right a bit, but it still stays on the left. So I'm gonna have a skip hyzer to the basket there. And we just got the ball and socket. Yeah, sweet, awkward high fives. Yeah, great job, buddy. This is a Goldline Ballista Pro. It's actually pretty overstable, and I'm choosing to throw this because I just want the speed around the corner to carry the skip instead of me having to crunch it. I got a good skip, but threw it just a little too inside, maybe 4 or 5 feet too inside. Yeah, I had a little bit of branches in front of me. And it actually put me in a really terrible spot, so I'm stretched out about as far as I can with my flexibility, and I just throw a really bad upshot. Yeah, from there, I'm just trying to turn the disc over a little bit in my hand, but absolutely do not. So that leaves me this straddle 28-footer. Really happy to make that. Straddle is not my natural putting style, so to save 4 is good there. This is another par 4, off of which I'm taking the Goldline Ballista Pro, and I just pull my head up too much. Call myself a butthead. I feel like it was deserved.
That is not a good shot, man.
That was not a good shot. You're right. Just pull my head up a little too much to try to watch where it goes. And here's a tip for if you're trying to hit gaps, trust your body and then let your shoulders pull your head up so you're not pulling your head up earlier, anticipating where the disc is going to go. That's left me a difficult shot.
Yeah, trees are great.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated with this hole. I don't think it should be a very hard 3 if you get off the drive just fine, but bad Explorer shot for me, so I'm just left to throw. That's a medium Cenas, and I like that for overstable approaches. Par doesn't really hurt you here, but this is a pretty easy birdie, so I'm a little disappointed. 14 is a forehand on the left side here. The basket is just across the creek, and you just need a little skip. So I went back and forth between a Lucid Felon and this is a special edition anvil. And I went with the anvil just to try to pop it a little bit more. Pop it I did, and I got a very punishing kick. Not a good shot there. Had it sat down where I hit, probably get a pretty easy 3, but now I'm in the woods trying to throw a, this is that blend Warden on a turnover through just a little baby gap. And for what I had, I executed the shot really well, but it still left me just outside the circle, 35, 38 feet. And I just, one more inch of height gives me that putt, but thought myself out of it mentally. So we're on a bit of a roller coaster right now. It's quite frustrating to start the round. Really good, you know, going 5 for 6 on birdies, or 6 for 6 if you count the par 5. But just trying to hold it together and make sure I finish strong. This is that same blend Warden turnover, and I left it a little bit left of the gap, but was really fortunate to get through. Fought all the way through the trees, so that's put me, if I remember correctly, I'm around 30, 32 feet here. A little shaken from taking that 4, so I'm just thinking right now I just really need to commit to my putt. Make sure I give it the height and speed that it needs. And that's a good catch by the basket. A little high right side, but it's in, so got our deuce, feeling good about that, a little bit back on track. This is one of my favorite holes on the Gold Course, hole 16. This is that special edition Explorer that'll flip and move to the right. I just need to hit it with a little bit of hyzer and let it do the work. It's going to fly straight for almost the entire flight. Now, I was afraid I might catch those trees, but just beat them on the left side, and that's a good tee shot on this hole. I've got another straddle putt here. This one's much closer than the last one on the par 4. This one's probably 22, 23 feet. Not a good putt. Yes, a good result. Just give the basket a little hug, you know. It helped me out when I didn't really deserve to make that putt. So once again, we're on a bit of a roller coaster. Getting good results, not necessarily executing every shot like I'd like to. 17, I'm trying to throw a big anhyzer over all the trees, and I just start it too far to the left, catch the tree in the middle of the fairway, and fall down. It's basically 4 at best unless I pull off a miracle shot here. I'm standing in front of that tree. This is my Lucid EMAC Truth that will move a bit to the right. And I moved it even more than a bit to the right. That's headed into a tough spot. And honestly, all that it leaves me is just kind of a jump putt to 25 feet. I can't go straight at the basket. I don't want to test the trees on the right side because there's out of bounds in the creek. And so I'm trying to just throw a putt that moves in that gap that you can see to the left there, that moves a bit to the right and then just settles. And that's fine. I'm not really upset about that. Leaves me about a 25-foot straddle putt. The tree is blocking the basket from my view a little bit more than it looks on camera. So I'm thinking I can't miss this to the left, just commit. And turns out I can miss it to the left. No commitment on that putt, and that's a frustrating hole. No reason I should ever 5 that from being in the spot I was. So last hole of the day, I'm taking my Lucid Maverick. This is a 315-foot uphill turnover. And when I let this go, I thought that was just as good as I could ever throw it. And that turned out to be true. I put it 2 feet from the basket. So yeah, a real roller coaster round today. Tried my best to make it happen and did it for the first few holes and didn't do it as much for the last few. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.